Hello, welcome back to my channel and happy 2025. If you clicked on this video, I'm excited for you because clearly it means that you are interested in starting a stationery business this year. And I have absolutely loved recording these video series over the last, I would say at least 5 years or so, all about how to start a stationery business and just some of the ins and outs, experiences and things I've had. I love to share and just give you some tips to really get you going because it can be an overwhelming process when you think of, oh, I want to do something like that. But then when you finally start to sit down and you look at all of the just to-dos and things to figure out and research, it can start to feel very overwhelming. And so I am kicking off a new series this month here for 2025. And also I encourage you to look back at some of my past series that I've done over the years because there's a wealth of information, y'all, in those videos, and I want to make sure that you get the goods because there are so many, and they will all be linked down in the description as well. And be sure while you are in the description to check out the link to get yourself your stationery starter pack. This is a free opt-in that I'm offering during this series that is really going to help you to get clear in a lot of ways on what are the steps you need to take. So there's a roadmap in there that will really walk you through from idea to launch. I have a little checklist that will help you with some of just the beginning tools and equipment and things that you might need. And there's also just a little preview, a peek of the first chapter of my planner and notebook ebook. So if you are someone that is wanting to do planners or journals this year, you'll definitely enjoy that chapter. And then if you want to get the whole book, I actually have the full ebook available as well. But I wanted to mention that. So make sure that you get your stationery starter pack. The link is down below. And now let's get into this video. So first things first, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Tatiana. I am a business coach and a mentor, and I've had a stationery business that I launched back in 2016 called the Stationery Muse. I grew this channel just sharing the behind the scenes of that business and really building it from the ground up, just showing my struggles, the wins, the losses, the different pivots and things that I've had over the years. And I actually closed that business back in 2021, and it has since pivoted into what you see today, which is the Inspire Blueprint. The Inspire Blueprint, it was created to help you build a life full of impact, freedom, and legacy. But one of the main things that I still love about the Inspire Blueprint is I still have a sweet spot for products and stationery as well. So I still do currently sell stationery items, and so that's why I feel like I still have a place within this market. It's definitely not the main thing that I do as I used to do back in the day, but I now work with a lot of clients that do it as well and have worked with a lot of women over the years to help them start their own stationery businesses, get it off the ground, getting it out of their heads, and truly just believing that you can do it. And so you are in the right place. You are amongst family. You are amongst someone that has truly been there, been in the trenches, but also seen what it's like on the other side, seen what this can really do for you when you finally give it that yes. And so I just wanted to first just commend you for even deciding that you want to do it. Anytime a new year comes, I think that it's just natural for us to think of these big ideas that we want to accomplish for the year. And sometimes it can feel very out of reach. And I like to be that bridge for you to really decide if this is something that is truly for you and how to really start making the strides to get there. So we're going to get right into this video. And number one is, what is your why? As the years go on, as social media continues to change, as AI starts to take over, and there's all of these different elements that we get added into it, it is very important not to lose sight of why you are doing something. It's very easy to get caught up in what we see other people doing, and it can make it very difficult to really focus on what we want for ourselves. So whether you are deciding like, yes, I want to launch a planner this year, I want to do a journal, I want to do some type of digital product, maybe you want to do a sticker shop, maybe you want to do a subscription box, maybe you want to get into doing markets and doing a lot of handmade things. Even though the series is about stationery, I think that it can apply to so many creative businesses where it really just comes down to, what is the why? Why are you wanting to pursue this? Why do you want to make it happen? Why what's the importance behind it? What is it going to do for you? What is it going to do for those that you plan to create these products for? And that is something that I always ask myself at the top of every year. And really, honestly, just on a regular basis, I'm always thinking about, okay, why is this important? As I'm creating new products, I'm thinking, okay, what is the benefit of this? Who is this impacting? Is this something that I really want to give my energy to right now? These are all important questions you want to ask yourself, because it can look very glamorous. It can be very exciting to see what it is to run a stationery business and pack the orders and have the pretty products and all of those things. But if you don't have a heart for what it is that you're doing and who you're planning to serve, and I mean, quite frankly, all of the business admin things that come with it, then you really do want to take a look and decide, is this something that I really want to do? Or, are there other factors that might be playing a role in there? So when I think about a why, I've shared this many times before, but I like to think of it in two parts. The first part is, why do you do it for you? And for you, that could specifically be for you and the benefit of like fulfillment. Has always been a dream of yours since you were a little girl? Is this something that has been placed on your heart and you just can't quite let it go? Have you tried before? Maybe you failed and you're ready to get back into it. Why is it important to you? And even more so if you have a family, how could this impact them? Why does it matter? Do you want to create a legacy? Is this something that you want to build to be able to pass on to your children? I know for me, a lot of it had to do with me wanting to create something that I wanted to build an empire, right? I wanted to create something that I knew could grow. And even though over the years it's changed quite a bit from what I initially planned for it to, I'm so grateful that one of my main whys was just to create something that could really turn into something that I can pass along, a legacy that I can leave. I'm also a mom as well, and so it's important to me to just have something that I'm doing to just show as an example to my daughter of what it is that I'm trying to create and build, and the people that I'm trying to impact. And then the second part is, why is it important to the people that you are trying to do this for? So why is it important for them? That could be your customers, your clients, the folks that you are thinking about when you're like, ooh, I can't wait for people to be using these things. Why is it important for them? And so really answering that and keeping that at the forefront as you go through just these next several months of getting ready to launch your business, keeping that why at the forefront is so important in the days when you want to give up, in the late nights, in the launches that go really well and now you have a ton of stuff to do, or the launches that don't go so well and you got to pull that momentum out again. It is important that the why never goes away, because it could be the very thing that will keep you from giving up. So number 2 is really starting to create the vision that you have for this business. A lot of times we might get reeled in just by simply seeing some beautiful stickers, right? Or you might see like a really pretty box that someone has put together. There is so many aspects when it comes to building a business outside of just beautiful products. And so while that is one, I encourage you also to, make a list of what are some of your dream products and things that you would like to create and see happen for yourself. But I want you to also think about some other questions as well. So yes, of course, what types of products do you want to sell? How do you want to promote these products? What are you comfortable being on? Are you planning on being on social media? Are you going to be making videos like this? Are you going to be going live? Do you plan on doing in-person markets? Are you going to be doing ads? I think it's important to look at all of the different scopes of how you can market and really be prepared for how you want to kind of dip your toes in a little by little to really see what works best for you. Because for some people, organic content and all of those things may work really well. If there's a platform that you love to hang out on, then I suggest maybe looking into that one. If you're like, okay, I think I want to get on TikTok, or I think I want to get on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, or whatever you feel comfortable. I always suggest starting with that. Like, where do you feel comfortable? Where do you hang out the most? It's probably the platform that you're the most familiar with. But then also looking at some things maybe that you're not so familiar with. Maybe you might be doing some things on Pinterest, or you might be experimenting with ads, or you may be looking into possibly doing some in-person events. These are all and just some of the different ways that you can grow in order to really put yourself out there. So even a bigger question is, are you ready to show up? Are you ready to put yourself out there and market in the way that you need to really make these products shine? Because at the end of the day, you can get lost in the sea of so many people doing this. And so I want to make sure that that's something that you're constantly remembering, is that you can't just post a picture of something and expect that someone is just going to purchase it. There has to be a lot of thought behind it, a lot of intention, a lot of consistency, a lot of uncomfortability, especially if you are not a person that is super comfortable with like getting on camera and all of those things. And it's a constant cycle, you know, it's like a roller coaster. Like, you go up, you get to a certain point of a goal, and then you go down, and then you start it all over again. And it's this constant battle, but also an amazing journey as well, that you really have to continue to work through to really shine and get your products out there. And that has been, to me, a lot of the keys of how I've been able to grow my business and this platform, is just by simply showing up, you know, and doing things that don't always feel easy to do. That is really a lot of what it comes down to, and just continuing to talk about what I offer, why it's important, why people need it, but you need to believe in those things yourself. And also thinking about where you want to sell as well. So what e-commerce platforms are you looking at? Are you looking at like a shop on social media? Are you doing Shopify, Etsy? There's so many, Squarespace, Wix, like whatever it may be, starting to just take some time to kind of look at all the different options and find the best fit for you, because everyone is going to have something that they like about one platform over another. I personally have used a handful myself over the years, and I have pros and cons for them all. Right? You know, like I think Shopify by far is my favorite, but I also have a love for Etsy as well, because that's where I got started on. And I think it's just important for you to find, especially with so many options and so many ways of putting yourself out there, to find what really makes the most sense for you and your business goals and what it is that you want to achieve. Like, where are your people hanging out? Where do you find that people within the industry that you are trying to get in, they're finding the most success? That might be the place that you really want to start looking into on how to set that up, how to get established on there, and all of those different things. This is all part of kind of your business vision, right? Like, what are you going to be selling? Where are you going to be selling it at? And then how are you going to get visibility for these products? Because if you don't have that trifecta in place, or if one of those pieces are not fully there, it's going to be really hard for you to be successful as you grow. So I really encourage you, even before you spend any money on anything, before you announce anything, to just give yourself that time to just research those things and come to a place of where you at least can pick one to two in each of those categories that will help you decide, okay, this is what I'm selling. I'm starting with this particular product. I'm not starting with 20. I'm starting with 1 or 2 products. I'm going to be selling on this platform, and this is how I plan to market and launch. That 3-piece formula right there is going to help you so much, and it's going to give you clarity around how you want to show up, and it will give you some of your starting steps as well. So number 3, stationery is one of those industries where honestly there are so many different things that we all do, from cards to stickers to planners to journals, to personalized stationery. I mean, the list is honestly endless. And so it's important, as you are deciding what you want to do, how you want these products to be created. I talk a lot about handmade products here on this channel, but I equally talk about and am a huge lover of manufactured products too. And so it's important to decide, you know, like, how do you want them to be created? And it may be a mix. You may have some products where you solely do them in-house for specific reasons, like customization, or there's a specific flavor flair that you like to put on the products. And then there may be other things where you want to be able to create them at a higher volume, or you want to save time and you decide to get them manufactured by another company. I encourage you, as you start to go through that vision phase and that research phase, that you really think about the product that you want to create, how that process will look for you, and honestly, just what do you feel in your heart. I have handmade planners and journals, but I've also had them manufactured, and I can say in certain seasons, I am loving the handmade. I'm loving all the things and getting my hands into it, putting it together, putting all of the little special touches on it. And then there are other seasons where I'm like, you know what? I really love just being able to order my planners from a manufacturer, having them ready to go. Their quality is great, and I know that my customers are still going to be satisfied with what they get. And so it's all a matter of just deciding what's important to you, and even more so, what is going to be the best for your customers, right? I mean, we can get into so many more specifics of what this looks like and the timelines and all of that. But really, I just ask you, like, are you hand making things? What types of equipment and tools will you need for that? And then also, if you want to outsource and manufacture, start looking at some different options. There are a ton of ways to go about that, whether you use a company that is right here within the US, if you are watching from the US, or if you are working with a company that's overseas. Overseas tends to be a better option for a lot of people, just because the cost per unit is a lot less, but your minimum order quantity is higher. So that means you may have to order a few hundred or a few thousand of this in order to be able to order it from over there. But that is an option that is very doable for a lot of people. It's an option that has really helped a lot of businesses soar. So that's something to consider. But then you also have your US options as well, where you can order smaller quantities, but typically the price might be a little bit more. And so that is kind of like the game you have to play, right? And trying to figure this out. But really ask yourself, like, are there aspects of this that I could make by hand and kind of do in-house to maybe save a little bit of money or offer a different experience? And then are there some things where I feel like I really might want to just have this product created by someone else because maybe it's tedious, or you just want to have that part off of your plate? So really think about that. Number 4 is you want to figure out what is your hard deadline for your launch date. I cannot stress enough how important it is to have a launch date, even if it has to get moved for unforeseen reasons, right? Like maybe, I don't know, something is taking a little bit longer to come to you if you're like waiting on samples from a manufacturer, or there's a paper shortage of something that you need, or I don't know, something in your personal life happens and you have to hold off. But I encourage you to come up with a launch date so you have something to work towards, you have something to tell people about, and it gives you a starting point. So if you are watching this right now and it is in January of 2025 and you are deciding that you want to launch really any type of stationery item, but let's just say specifically if you wanted to start a card business. Cards can be launched at any time of year, y'all. I think a great time with Mother's Day and Father's Day coming up, that might be where you kick off the start of it, right? Like maybe that is when you would have personalized cards available, or packs of cards that people can get, or specific greeting cards. There's so many different kinds, but depending on what you might do, that might be the time that you're looking for, which is like a late spring, early summer type of launch. And that makes sense because people are purchasing cards. And so you may think like, okay, I want people to be able to get them prior to those holidays. So you know what? I think I might be looking at like an early April launch, right? And so then you work backwards from that. You're able to then say, okay, I know I'm going to be launching in April. And so now I'm giving myself basically all of Q1 to get the logistics and everything in order. I am a huge believer in when you are launching something for the first time, especially a brand new business, that you at least want to give yourself 90 days to start slowly peeling back the layers and launching your business or your product to people. And so that doesn't mean you're full-fledged, like available, people can purchase. It simply means that you are starting to slowly show up online, sharing the behind the scenes, walking people through what you're doing, talking about your story, talking about your business mission and your vision and who you're here to serve and what people can expect from your business. These are things you can be doing in real time as you are in the background getting your samples together, getting your quality, figuring out your packaging and all of this stuff. You will have this launch that is already kind of like basically taking place. So by the time April or whatever the month comes, people are pretty much feeling comfortable with your brand for the most part, and they're ready to start seeing what you have to offer. They're ready to purchase. They're ready to support. They're following along. They're eager to see, what it is that you have coming up, and you sharing that process along the way. To me, it is like the most no-brainer way to launch and bring people along. It's easy ways to do content because it's something that is actually happening in your real life. And people love that. They really do. They love to be brought along. Has been a lot of the ways that I've been able to launch over the years with a lot of my different products that I've made. It's just simply by sharing the behind the scenes and, where my head is at and what I'm excited about, the process of what it looks like, gearing up for it. I share a lot of that, and that has been one of the amazing ways to launch. There's so many different things you could do. So make sure that you do check out that roadmap, because I do share a little bit on there as well within the Stationery Starter Kit that will show you just some tips as far as launching goes, of some things you can do within your content to help you. But of course, there's so many other things you can do. You can appear at in-person events, right? You can be passing your business card out to people, letting them know something is going to be coming, getting on mailing lists, putting yourself out there, being a guest on a podcast, collaborating with people, anything that will give you visibility and start to kind of amp up the momentum about what you have coming. You want to do it. Okay. Take advantage of all of the different avenues and things, and just make sure that you have that date in mind and you work backwards from that date. That is one of the biggest tips that I will give when it comes to launching, is you have to have a date in mind, and do not keep pushing it back unless it is absolutely something that is out of your control. But if you set a date, stick to it, because even if you get to the date and things have not gone as planned, as far as like maybe, you didn't sell as many as you wanted to that first time around, you can go back and do it again, right? That is that cycle I talked about. That's that roller coaster I talked about. You can continue to go back and do it again and do it better, show up in different ways and continue to share. This is all going to be a cycle, right? And there's going to be some frustration there. There's going to be some having to unlearn some things and kind of removing some limiting beliefs about what's happening in order to make it happen. But the biggest favor you can do for yourself is having that launch date to work backwards from, and that will give you a starting point. And then same with planners. I think it goes without saying, there's a couple of peak times people buy planners, even though people buy planners year round, honestly, especially if it's undated. It's like you're kind of giving yourself a very nice setup with undated planners, but people buy them year round. But there are peak seasons. People get them right now around this time of year, right at the beginning of the year, kind of like late fall going into the end of the year. And then people will typically get them around the spring, summertime, right before like the academic year is starting too. So take advantage of these peak times, because if people are already looking for these specific products at certain times of year, why not take advantage of that and be able to be in the mix of it? So if you are kind of like, I don't know when to launch, look at your market, look at those types of products and when they tend to sell the best. And that might help you as well with figuring out, at least narrowing down a quarter you want to launch in. And from there, you can start thinking about some specific dates as well that you would like to look into. And my last tip, number 5, that I want to share is kind of something that I touched on a little bit earlier, but start with one thing, okay? I just want to stress on this enough, because I think it's very easy to get caught up in having like this huge catalog of products, this huge product offering. And what ends up happening is it will push you back more and more, because now you're like, oh, maybe I can add this and I can do this and I can do this. Pick that one thing and run with it. If you are creating one item and then you kind of think like, oh, something else might pair well with it, okay, maybe you can create a small collection to get started. But that is the most I would do. I really would not be launching more than 3 items within my first launch. Now, if you have maybe a couple of designs of the same type of item, that's fine. but I wouldn't be like, okay, I'm launching planners and journals and t-shirts and mugs and a card set and pins. I wouldn't do all of that at one time, because what ends up happening is it's a lot of overwhelm. It's a lot to figure out on the back end, especially when it comes to like shipping and stuff. Getting all those weights and all of those logistics in order with that. But it also just clogs up a lot of your mental, because there's so many things you're trying to figure out for each individual product. When if you only have 1 to 3 products that you are focusing on, it makes it a lot easier for you to pinpoint your content towards that. It makes it easier for you to figure out the steps you need to do in the back end, with getting your website and all that stuff set up. It's a lot easier for when you are getting your pictures in order for products. But when you just have so much stuff, it can just be like a lot. It just take me. Just trust me on this. I've been there, and I've been that person that starts with the one thing and then it ends up being 15, and it just gets to be a lot. Okay, so if you start with one thing, remember you can always add more on. It doesn't mean that you're limiting yourself forever to this one to couple of items. It's just right now in this initial launch, this first season, if you will, you are just going to focus on a very small number of things. 1 is really what I would say is the ideal number. But if you feel like, oh, but I want to be able to include at least 1 or 2 more items to go with it, I think that's great. People love bundles, and they love like little small collections and stuff where they can kind of put something together. But again, just make sure that it is something that you are able to take on. It's feasible for you, because with all of these products that comes more money that needs to be dished out. There's more energy that's going to need to be poured into that. So you really just want to consider all of the aspects of it, as you're deciding to launch. So that is all I just wanted to say. Thank you so much for watching this first video of this series. In the next video, I'll actually be covering some of the must-have tools and equipment and everything that you need if you are planning to create planners and journals. So definitely, if that is something that is on your radar, if it's something you've been thinking about, then definitely tune in for that video. Make sure that you do sign up for that stationery starter pack as well too, because that will kind of unlock some extra things for you while these videos are happening once a week for the month of January. You'll also have an opportunity to dive into some of that stuff just in your free time and really start to make some of these decisions I've talked about in this video to help you get very clear on what you need to be focusing on first, second, third, and all of that. If you have any questions about anything, please feel free to comment down below. I love to help in any way I can. I'm an open book, and I'm here to support you and root you on. And I would love for you to comment down below if you have made it to this part in the video. My business is launching in 2025, and I am so excited for you. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.